Ladies and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of the No ID Podcast. I have here comedian, host. I met this guy almost a year ago in a show in
Yeah,
Virginia. Almost a year ago in Virginia, man. He gave me a lot of game, and that 2 hours I spent with him. Um, I called it. I just know him as MT Bottles, man, the one and only. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good, man. MT bottles. I tell people I host trivia down here, and I tell people in my trivia games, you can call me my government name too, which is Travis. But I don't know anybody who's listening to this right now, so y'all just stick with empty bottles until we get to know each other, and then we can move forward after that. So,
Yeah, definitely. How did the start in comedy come? Like, how did MT Bottles form?
um, man, really through good weed, good alcohol, and good genes. Like all good things do come together in this world. No, I comedy was not on the radar for me, man. I had no plans of really doing comedy. I host trivia down here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I did that through the pandemic. I actually hosted online. I was hosting games for people all over the world, and I started hosting trivia games at bars like I'm at right now. Thank you. Someone just served me a beer at the bar that I host trivia at, one of them, and shout out to Seagate Bottle Shop. Boom, boom, boom. You see it on the hat.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Um, so I was hosting trivia one night, and a guy said I do a little comedy bit in the middle of trivia, and one of my players was like, "Hey man, you're really funny. You should think about doing comedy." I'm like, well, I've always enjoyed watching comedy. I've gone to comedy shows, love it, whatever, but I really never thought about doing it. And he convinced me to go to an open mic at the main the comedy club here in Wilmington, which is called Dead Crow Comedy Room. And
Mhm.
he convinced me to go and do open mic. I did open mic. I did it for about 2 months. I felt like I was doing okay, getting laughs, and a guy booked me on a show 2 months later, and that was my first paid gig. And I had a great time doing it. And I said, well, if I can do this, then maybe I can get 30 shows in a year. And if I did that, I would felt like I did something. So I actually got 75 gigs in one
Mm.
year, and got invited to a couple of comedy festivals, and got the opportunity to travel and do and perform in front of some pretty large crowds, that kind of thing. So I said, well, shit, if I can do this and it's going like this, and that's what I'm gonna roll with it. So I just been grinding ever since.
How is that grind? People don't understand that grind, that comedy grind of sleepless nights, late nights.
It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. Um, I mean, if I'm being real with you, like it's just crazy to kind of think about. Like I used to perform music. I used to. That's where the name Empty Bottles comes from. It comes from my old rap name. My old rap name was Major Travesty, and I
Ooh.
did an album and an EP um, a few years ago. And so I loved the process of writing music. I did not like performing it live. I loved writing. I love recording. Love the studio. That's one of my favorite things in the world is to be in the studio. But getting on stage and performing my music was a whole other world for me, and that was not something I was prepared for. And it wasn't something I really wanted to do. Um, and I didn't figure that out until later. It took me a while to figure that out. But when it came to comedy, and when it comes to comedy, writing jokes, and everybody's process is different, just like it
Yeah.
is in life, just as it is in music. For me, I am not a writer who, with comedy, I'm not a writer who sits down for hours and just is pounding out jokes. I can't do that. It's not for me. Things have to come to me, and sometimes they come in large bursts, and sometimes it's one once every month. I mean, it could be that long. So and it could be just a small premise, like a thought of something that might be funny. And then in some cases, it's like a fully formed, fucking joke. But dealing with that, and then you put that on top of your everyday life, where you're trying to, move your feet and make money. And for me, hosting trivia in multiple places, trying to be successful with that, going to open mics, getting my work in, and then doing shows, it's a grind. It's heavy, and if you're not if you're not emotionally intelligent enough or strong enough for it, it ain't for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
No, it's not. It's really
Yeah.
not. Like when I saw you the first time in August last year, you hosted
Mm-hmm.
the shit out that show.
Mm.
Like you kept the energy. In my opinion, you kept the energy up.
I wasn't even supposed to be hosting, bro. I was supposed to be on that lineup, and the dude who booked it was supposed to host it, but it didn't work out that way. And I was told last minute, and I'm just glad I was able to do something special. And it was funny because we were getting to meet you. I,
Mhm.
all he said that we're gonna have this comedian from that area, from the Chesapeake Vibe Beach area, up there, and so it was I was oh that's family, cool, all right, straight, and then you got up there and you happened to be funny as hell, and it was perfect too because your style of comedy, it was such a nice compliment to what we had going on, especially for myself. I mean, we both were at that show. We know how it went. So,
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. No comment. You know what I mean?
yeah, it was a different experience. But I really dug what you had to offer, and I was like, it's a vibe off jump. So,
Yeah,
um,
man. Comedy is a passion, bro. I've been doing this shit 4 years, man. If I tell you like, oh, I want to stop, want to quit, it's been times like for people that don't know, we actually tried to record this last Monday or 2 Mondays ago. The following Monday, I actually had to go out of town for a competition. I was like, all right, and I don't know if anybody's ever lost a comedy competition before, but you're so fucking dejected. You don't want to do nothing. Like I took the train home, and I was like, man, I don't want to go home to this shit. I gotta go back to work. I gotta go back to my W-2 job.
yo, and the crazy thing about what you're telling me is, um, I was in Port City Top Comic. I was in the finals the night before we were supposed to originally record this. So when we tried to record this before, I was already depressed as hell, and I didn't want to do this. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, nah. This is a chance for me to come back and be funny because I was mad as hell that I had such a bad final round. And then the following week, I see your ass going to Connecticut to go do. And it's funny, you were at Mohegan Sun. I did a show at Mohegan Sun a few months ago, on that same stage at Comics Roadhouse, and but I wasn't in no competition, and I I know how you feel because that's the worst. Like drive, my competition was like a couple miles from my house. You got to ride back on the train with your thoughts and nowhere near the amount of money that you thought you might have in that competition. So yeah, I get it. Oof.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Comics Roadhouse was so dope, man, and
Yeah, yeah, it's
it
cool. It's
is
a cool
it's cool
venue.
dope. It's
Yeah,
like I walked around the resort, and I was like, man, I ain't spending no money up in here.
right, right.
And I think it was 92 comedians in this competition. I was one of 92, and the only one from VA. So I'm like, I gotta kill it. Well, I
Yeah.
get up there, bro. I thought I killed it. Then I played the shit back in my head. I played the video, but I said, damn, I missed a transition somewhere.
Mm,
Had lost
mm.
them. And then like at 9 o'clock, I was ejected. I was like, man, I'm going home, man. Fuck this shit, man. I ain't doing this no more. Fuck y'all, man. I was like, I don't want to do no podcast. Fuck this shit. Get on
I get it.
go back to the hotel, eat some chicken wings, and just and just staring at the wall. Like I was like,
Sometimes that's how it
ooh,
go.
yeah, man.
Sometimes that's how it go.
How,
That's hard.
that last round, that competition you was it
Mm.
something that you feel like you missed, or was it just like you just didn't have the energy?
I wasn't in the pocket. So it was two rounds of prelims, and if you do well at the prelims, you make it to the finals. And I killed my prelim set, like just murdered it. Knew I had it. And like I could see the look in everybody else's eyes, like, oh, we know he was coming with that, and boom. So I knew that was good. But then when I got to the finals, there were a lot of things about that day. Like I was telling people, I was like, the devil was after me that day, no matter what. Um, my ex was late picking up my daughter. I actually had a paying gig before the finals, and I don't know if your listeners realize this or not. I don't know. Some of them might be in Alaska. It's hot as fuck down here right now. Okay, so It's hot as hell, and and because it is so warm, my black ass is out there not drinking enough water, not eating, already frustrated with my ex, and trying to do this show, thinking I'm doing a smart thing, like, oh, I'm gonna get some stage time before I do the finals. This is great, I'm gonna be able to do my set and be ready to rock when the finals come. Nah, homie, um, I'm wearing myself out, treating myself poorly. So by the time I do get to the show and ready to do my thing, I'm all over the map and psyching myself out, and I end up getting to go last out of 12, which is great. Like, oh, I get the prime spot. Like, I'm gonna be the last thing that people see, but that also means I'm sitting there, drinking my whiskey, dehydrate myself further, and then not focusing on just being me. So it was it's a crazy thing. I got in there and I got on stage. The dude before me got eliminated. Like he went over like right in that moment. So I'm watching that. I felt horrible for him. Like that ripped my heart out for him. And so then I got to go on stage with that in my head the whole nine.
Hmm.
But the point is I was not good enough that night. There was a funnier dude. The guy who won he crushed it that night. He was absolutely hilarious. So it just wasn't my night. But in the
Yeah,
moment, it's like, fuck all that, fuck that, fuck that content, fuck that dude, But it is what it is. I get past it.
I know it, man. And the crazy thing is the previous month I was in a competition right here in Virginia,
Hmm.
and I didn't place. It was one out of 64 comedians, and they came from like DC, Maryland. They was in the 757, 804, everything. And
Okay.
then I performed on the Sunday. I was like, I went first.
Hmm.
I'm like, fuck, I hate going
Mm.
first. Ooh,
Yeah.
I hate going
Yeah.
first. And they did no
Yep.
warm up, no nothing. They just told me, hey, Rome Davis. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I'm trying to just do a lot of crowd. I'm trying to do some crowd work, interacting.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta wake the people up. Nope. But crazy thing is, like, probably 3 days after I performed, they closed their comedy club down.
That's what they get. That's what they get. Y'all ain't gonna
Bastards.
take care of my boy. Fuck them. Yeah.
Fuck them, man.
I liked it.
Who was some of your like comedians that you watched or inspired you as you come along this comedy grind?
So I grew up watching. I grew up watching a whole bunch of different types of people because my father stole cable. So we so I had the ability at an early age to watch a lot of different types of comedy because my television went up to channel 65. Um, so I got to see. I used to watch A&E, Arts and Entertainment. The
Hmm.
channel. Um, I used to watch that on Friday nights, Saturday nights, late night, and um, like evenings at the Improv would be on. Evening at the Improv it'd be on, and like show from Caroline's in New York City and New York Comedy Club, all these different like premier comedy clubs from the city were on television I could watch. So I used to see Rita Rudner, Paula Poundstone, Arsenio Hall, um, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's like, he was at that point raw and delirious. That's what you want to see. Those are the people that I love. Stephen Wright, now that I'm in comedy, Stephen Wright and Don Rickles are two of the people that really, and Richard Pryor, all three
Ooh.
of them are kind of who I pattern my comedy after now. Like those are my major influences as to how I get on stage, how I interact with the crowd, how I write. That's where a lot of that comes from. Those are my top three for me personally.
Facts. I haven't heard a lot of Don Rickles, Eddie Murphy. And the people don't realize this shit. How iconic Delirious and Raw are. He's only released two specials.
Yeah,
That's it. And he released them
yeah,
before he was like 23. Like
yeah,
Raw was when he was 19.
yeah,
So that whole like we still talking about it like because the jokes have never are just gonna never die.
yeah.
He's unreleased too. Richard Pryor's had I think five or six. You got
And think of all the people who've been in trouble, who've been canceled, who have had all kinds of different issues, and who because of their content or because of what they said on stage in the past few years, let alone 40 years ago.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? And those things still stand the test of time. It's incredible.
That's big facts. Cause Richard Pryor's first special, Lav and Smoke. I think that's what it's called. Whatever it's called. You
Now
got
you
to
got me curious.
if you watch it, you be like, damn, he gonna get canceled. But hey man, it shit stood the test of time.
Well, and the Richard Pryor show. I mean, it's so
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying. Like it's 4 episodes, and the things they're doing on that show, um, were way ahead of their time.
yeah,
Way ahead of their time. And then the other part to that is it's so interesting to have seen those episodes, and then the automatic correlation between that and Chappelle's show,
yeah,
and what kind of drove Dave to saying he couldn't do that show no more. So similar, it's uncanny, but it just shows you, um, you know, where we are compared to back then as a society, and then also it shows where comedy comes from, like where if it's done well, if it's done right, it will stand up against anything, any kind of scrutiny, and it'll stand up against all of that. And that's a lot of people cannot claim that in this business.
nope, nope.
Mm-mm.
Have you ever seen any comedians like? Cause I experienced this like probably a couple of months after I met you. Comedian tells me up and down like I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Gets up there, bombs. Quits
Mm-hmm.
comedy. Have you seen anybody? Have you ever experienced that yet?
Yeah. I've seen some people. Well, it's interesting. Since I've been doing comedy, so I've been getting up on stage. I've seen a lot of people at open mics who were either just starting or about to start or whatever the case may be. I saw a lot of people who had been doing comedy for years and they weren't getting that run. They were not getting paid gigs and whatever, and they just said, you know what, I'm just not funny enough. Um, I have also seen a lot of cases where they weren't getting up and they were not funny, but they blamed it on other factors. They blame it on other people or whatever the case may be. Um, and and that part is sad to me because um, this business is so tough. And to also realize that we're at such a you and I are doing this podcast right now. Neither one of us have any writing credits on television.
Nope.
Um, we have not performed on Fallon or anything like that. There's none of that for us. We're down here doing what we gotta do in the trenches, and there are so many levels that are above us. And even when you do make it to TV, there's still so many more levels above that. Um, it's and that's the hard to fathom part, and that's also like the really cool part about this and what we're able to do and how we can handle this. So people make me laugh when they're just like, you know what, fuck it, um, this isn't for me. I'm like, well, if you got into this, you had to know initially like this is one of the toughest things you're gonna ever fucking do. So
The most toughest thing, and people think it's like a madhouse what we do. Like we're crazy with lunatics. I'm like, no, I love it. I love it. I love it. I genuinely love it. I didn't get paid to go to Comics Roadhouse. I just
yeah,
pretty much just took the gamble.
yeah, shoot that
Definitely
shot.
get paid for. Yeah, I did definitely get paid for that August show, but I definitely killed my 10 minutes that I got though.
You didn't get paid for that show,
Hell no, he told me he wasn't gonna pay me.
and you still did it. Wow, look at you, look at you. That's
You wanna
impressive.
know? Before we wanna know why? Because I wanted to fuck y'all up on that microphone.
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. I can. That's the way you approach it the same way I do. Um, I don't care if I'm hosting, if I'm the middle, or if I'm him. I don't care. I'm trying to murder everything in front of me. Like I don't. I I am respectful to I get to I'm fortunate enough to feature for some pretty big comedians down here,
Hmm.
and I've worked with some real absolute killers, some real heavy hitters, and I'm respectful. But I am not holding back when I get on stage. Like I am gonna try. I want that crowd to be hurting. I want their stomachs just be in pain by the time whoever comes up after me because that's what that's who I am. So I can appreciate that. I like that, Rome. I'm glad to hear that from you. That's why I like you, motherfucker.
That's
That's
why
why
I
I like
like
that.
you. I was like, I
Yeah.
like you. Yeah. I saw the ad on Facebook and Instagram. So I saw y'all was coming up the street. I was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck them up. I'm gonna see if I get
Yeah.
on here. I don't care if I'm getting paid or not.
I like that.
I'm gonna
I
fuck
like
them up
that.
with my phone.
Yeah.
When you gave me a run, you gave me a hard run when you warmed up the set. I ain't gonna say the other two. I know I killed them, but we ain't gonna speak on
Listen, just imagine I wasn't even supposed to be I wasn't even supposed to be my role. So I really wish it had been the other way around. See,
that.
whew. Damn. Mm. I get it though. I like it.
It's friendly competition, ladies and gentlemen. This is no personal beef between me and
Oh,
MT.
absolutely not. No, no. It, that's also what makes a good show. Um, you know, I love this show. I've never seen you ever seen the show Crashing, the Pete Holmes HBO show Crashing.
Nah.
You need to watch that show. I try to tell her because that show is really really good. Now, some people are Pete Holmes fans, some people are not. The show itself is about kind of his start in comedy, but it's all the stuff that's on the periphery that really makes it because you get to see some real true to life experiences in there. And one in particular, um, it's him and T.J. Miller in this. Sorry, Pete Holmes, T.J. Miller, and uh, cocaine nose, uh, crazy. I can't think of his name right. I don't know why his name just anyway. Two very big time headlining comedians are arguing with each other about who's going to headline, and they're like, "Well, I'm the headliner. Well, I was hired as a headliner." Blah blah blah. And one goes out and tries to murder the crowd and does like an hour and a half, and then T.J. Miller comes out and does an hour. They're just trying to go at each other's throats, and I like that because the crowd, all the people who benefit the most out of that is the crowd, and that's what you want. You want them absolutely laughing, having a great time, and if that's the case, you did your job.
That's big facts. That's big facts. Is there a big comedian that you've worked with already that you've been like starstruck? Like you like, damn, I can't believe I'm actually in front of this
Starstruck,
guy.
starstruck. Um, yeah, Devin Walker,
Ooh,
Devin Walker.
yeah.
The crazy thing about Devin was that I I opened for him, and I got to have he was one of the best talks, one of the best hangs I've had with a comic. We got to chat for a good long time, and he was telling me because he's younger than I am, and he was like he told his manager he wanted to take on headlining gigs wherever, whenever, money didn't matter. He would pay his own way. He just wanted to get the time in, and I thought that was so interesting. I was like, good for you, man, that you're even in a position to be able to do that. And when he got on stage, like he's so chill.
Hmm.
He's such a chill dude. He gets on stage, and it was like his first 7, 8 minutes or so, it's like jazz. It's like just jazz improvisation. Just he's fast, he's slow, he's punching at the crowd. Every word, every syllable is it's audible. There's no you're not he's not dropping any words or lines. Each statement it means something. It's full of something, and normally a punchline. And it was amazing. And I had never seen that before. And I've seen a lot. I watched a lot of fucking comedy. I had never seen that before.
Hmm.
Um, the crazy thing about that was it was like just a couple weeks later he got announced as a new cast member on SNL, and I'm like that, and that's why he was on that grind like that. He was trying to prepare himself for something big, and he nailed it. He got in and has been had a great first season. He was really cool, and and he's still a cool guy. We still get to talk from time to time and through DM, and he's just so humble and a good dude. Him and Caitlin Palufo. Caitlin Palufo is a fucking monster. She, it's incredible. She gets on stage and just energy and realness. I mean, just murders. I Crowd pops every like 5 seconds. Just big roars from the crowd over and over and over and over again. People coming out makeup messed up because they're crying because they've been laughing so hard. Like that's incredible. That's real.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
real. I had DL Hughley back in
Oh,
December.
I know that was incredible.
It was, yeah, it was very nerve wracking because I went to the early show and he
Hmm.
was doing crowd work and he's like, "Well," he came to my table. "What do you do for a living?" "I'm a comedian." And one of his openers, Bodacious, who's from
Hmm.
Virginia, actually canceled on him, couldn't do it the second show. So he said, "Can you come do my second show?" I said, "Yeah, no problem." He said, "I'm not going to pay you." I said, "I don't want to get fucking paid.
Yeah.
Like, I want to just be able to perform in front of you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, let me tell you, I was like, all right, cool. Sold out show. I'm in front of the king, original king of comedy. I'm in a
Yeah. Yeah.
nightclub that it got a lot of politics into it. They won't let you get in there, bitch.
I'm
And
with
I
you.
just, and I blacked the fuck out of it. I was supposed to do 5 minutes as a guest spot. I did 15. I blacked the hell out. And I got a standing ovation afterwards. And I didn't realize I had did 15 minutes until like the guy that was running the light, he was like, "It doesn't matter, it's DL's time, but you did 15 minutes." So it's okay. So I had blacked the hell out. And
Wow.
after the show, all the people was, "You're so good, you're so good." I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. But like after when I was meeting DL, like I ain't gonna lie, I peed on myself a little bit when I met that man. A little bit of this a tinkle of pee came out. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, ain't no fucking way this DL Hugo.
I ain't gonna hate.
The man shook my hand like he introduced him. "My name is Daryl." I was like, "Who the fuck is Daryl? I know DL."
Wow. Hell, I didn't even know his damn name was Daryl. So shit.
I'm like, nah, man. No, it was amazing though, bro. Like that's on my resume, so I'm
That's
good.
wild. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That's real.
So we keep the interview short because
Cool. Cool.
yeah, man, because we gotta get attention span. And I'm gonna let you know, I appreciate one, you coming on the show, two, the patience. Because the first interview we had some troubles with, and in the first interview, if I think about it, I think you was in the dark, just chilling
I
somewhere.
was depressed, nigga. I was depressed. I was hurt. I was in my feelings, bro. Yeah, I was in the dark. Shit. Whew, I was hurting.
Oh man, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, man, I ain't, man, I swear I ain't want to do it the other day. I wanted to
I
do it
get it.
yesterday, but I was like, I gotta do it, man, because I ain't released shit out. Because I had all them fucking auditions this year. And I was like,
I
oh
get it.
Lord. But anyway,
I know
hopefully
what you're saying.
I could be there with you at Dead Crow Comedies pretty soon.
Yeah, we're gonna make that happen. I'm gonna get you down here no matter what. I already got you booked, so
My man.
we on
Uh,
it.
so before we sign off or do anything out there, what advice do you have to any of the comedians that's actually starting off or coming up into the comedy game?
Um, don't be afraid of who you are. Don't be afraid to find out who you are. That's the biggest lesson I could ever give somebody, or the biggest piece of advice. Don't be afraid to find out who you are. It's on the microphone, on stage. Be okay with it. Uh, being something you didn't expect or someone you didn't expect. Be okay with that because your realest self, people are gonna see it one way or another. And put it out there on stage and be okay with it. And once you're okay with it, and you can magnify it and blast it out there, and people are gonna love you for that.
That's big facts. My only advice to anybody that's trying to get in comedy, always write. You have to consistently write. If
Yeah,
it's a fucking bullet point, come back to it later on.
yeah,
But fucking write. Never stop writing. You got it's something in there, and the more you perform, the more comfortable you get. And fuck the
yep,
politics.
exactly, most definitely.
So we're gonna let it sign off. This is my man MT Bottles. Where can they
Yes,
follow
sir.
you at if they want to see any of your work or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a new school cat. No cap. I you could get my link tree. Go on link tree and find all my links on there. But specifically, emptybottlescomedy.com. That's my website. I'm on Instagram, MT Bottles Comedy. And remember, it's the letter M and the letter T. Them bottles. All right, MT Bottles. It's not Mount Bottles. You don't pronounce it like that unless you are planning on mounting me and riding me at some point. Maybe climbing my ladder later on. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's MT Bottles Comedy. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook, and TikTok. I'm on TikTok as well. So come check me out. Drop me a line and book me on any of those. So holla at me.
Holla at him. Holla at this man. Make sure you hit the links down in the bio. No ID Media TV on Instagram and Facebook. Comedian Room on Instagram and Twitter. No ID Media TV on YouTube. Like, share, comment, subscribe. These are raw interviews, people. These are unedited, unscripted interviews. This is the nitty gritty of journalism. Maybe one day I'll edit, but no, I will not. Um, but
That's
support my
real.
man MT Bottles. That's capital M, capital T Bottles. Support my
Damn
man
right.
out there, man, because he's out there killing the game. We talking about 75 shows on the calendar year. Fuck out of
Right.
here. Some of us can't even get 3 shows on the calendar year, but this man is out there killing it, putting up content. And like I said, he done dropped some jewels on me the first time I met him and dropped some jewels on me now in this interview. So
I
I
appreciate that.
appreciate you, brother. All
Appreciate you,
right.
homie. No doubt.
Yeah. All right.